Hello, I'm Terry Gilliam with Leaving California and Life After California. Today, I have traveled to Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm interviewing my good friend Jay Macklin. Jay runs an amazingly successful real estate firm here in the Scottsdale, Phoenix metro area. He covers the entire metro area. So we're going to learn about Jay and learn about the Phoenix metro area. Hello, Jay.
Thanks, Terry. Appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, it's great to...
Actually, appreciate you coming to my place.
It is different.
I've seen a lot of the Zoom meetings, and it's kind of fun to do one in person finally. So
it really is.
Yeah, this
it really is. Well, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? How long you been in business here in Scottsdale, the Phoenix metro? Tell us how many offices you have, agents, that kind of thing.
So we started about 2010, our own little mom and pop shop, just, kind of got out from under the, the big bad broker, right? And so fast forward 10 years, we're now at 185 agents. We've got 5 offices. We primarily serve Scottsdale, Phoenix area. We've got a couple offices in some lower line areas down in the south, Gilbert and in Casa Grande. So we kind of serve the whole valley. I mean, we're, almost 5 million people here, and people don't realize this either, that this is a big city. Like, this is a very big, small city. So we're very urban sprawl. So we have offices in many locations that service most of the areas. And we actually have agents that will go to Sedona, Flagstaff, Prescott, as we talked about, Payson, Tucson. So we're kind of covering the whole state.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Whole drive time.
Yeah. Well, let's turn our attention to the Phoenix metro area.
Okay.
What are the attractions that are bringing people to Phoenix from both an entertainment or jobs, that kind of thing? Why would people move to Phoenix versus maybe Albuquerque?
Well, there's a lot of reasons why. Have you been to Albuquerque? I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing. No, I'm just teasing. Phoenix is really revered more as a quiet little desert town. I moved here about 25 years ago thinking it was just going to be tumbleweeds and just, dirt and that's all it was. And I get here, I'm like, oh my God, this is as green as it was in Michigan. Not quite, but I felt like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I think it's kind of unknown for a lot of people. They don't look at it like a destination place. They look at it like a second home or vacation place. This has been a primary home residence for a lot of people for the last 5 or 10 years. But people come here because the weather, right? We have 355 days of sun. People come here because of the lifestyle. They love the outdoors. If you're a hiker, you're a biker, you love to do stuff outside, it's beautiful. Yes, it does get a little warm. I know you're going to touch on that. People always tease me about it being hot here. But jobs are amazing, right? We have some of the largest employers here in Arizona. They can't hire fast enough. And that's kind of what's happening with our housing market as well. And we're going to touch on that too. But it's not just tourism anymore that drives people. It's a lot of agriculture. It's a lot of entertainment, restaurants, sports. I mean, we've got all 4 of the big national sports teams that are playing here. So it's just a natural place to go. It's beautiful. It's sea level, almost, so it's not up in the mountains, although people don't realize a quarter of the state is desert. The rest of it is all high mountains. And so just the Metro Phoenix area in Tucson. The pull in from people, housing, we're going to talk about that, cost of living, job opportunities, like I said, weather, lifestyle. It's very unique to what's in the West right now, particularly what's in California, or maybe Albuquerque. There's really nothing else like it out there.
Can you talk about the growth that you've seen just since you lived here, or maybe since you started your businesses? I know that Phoenix has exploded.
It is, and what's interesting is about we're now starting to go vertical because our land is kind of we've eaten up a lot of the land, but we've always been kind of this urban sprawl community. We have a kind of a tiny downtown, which is getting bigger from a Phoenix standpoint. But since I moved here in 1996, it's been massive growth. Up here, this was not even here, right? So where we're at, which you think about, my God, it's been here forever. Not really. It's just, I would say in the last 25 years, we've had at least an additional 1.5 million people that have moved here since then. Yeah, it's a lot of people. We are the fastest growing county in the nation. We are one of the top states for inbound people moving here permanently. We just talked about that previously. So there's a lot of good things. Like I said, employment, job opportunities, cost of living, it's amazing. Like, it's just fun. You do have to deal with the heat in the summer a little bit, but it's not that bad. People say that. I know that it's a cliche, but it's not as bad as people think it is.
Well, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really hot this past summer, I know.
It was the hottest summer on record. Okay. It was the most days we had over 110 degrees that we've ever had.
Other than that, it was beautiful, right?
Other than that, it was gorgeous. Look, you know what? You got air conditioning, you got shade. I was telling you the story that I was in Florida, which I enjoy, but it was 90 degrees and 90% humidity. I thought I was going to pass out. Like, it was so hot and so humid. You don't get that here. I mean, it's a little humid, and it gets to 25, maybe 30% humidity. And of course, there's rainy days and monsoons and things that cools it off, but it's not bad. I think people freak out when they see a number like 115 or 118, as far as temperature. But when you stand in the shade, it's literally 10 degrees less. I mean, it's not as bad as people think it is. I equate it to an oven, right? It's hot. You shut the door. It's not that hot. You go into air conditioning. You're not sweating anymore. So it's uniquely different. And yes, it's dry. So I have to say that.
Well, and to compare that, I mean, we had several days over 100 degrees in the East Bay where I live, and it was a lot more humid. So
That's hot.
That was hot.
That's hot because you can't get away from it. In Arizona, you can just go in your pool. Like, every house has a pool. You have massive air conditioning units, and they work really well. And so when it's 110 or 115 out, it doesn't, when your house is at 82 degrees, it's actually relatively comfortable.
And how many months does that last? How many months does summer last
So
here?
our heat really kicks in June. It starts to heat up a little bit at the end of May. June is when usually our hottest month, but it's also our least humid month, so it's not as bad. We'll end the heat, I think this week which is end of September. We will now stop seeing 100-degree days, and so October is usually when it gets into the 90s and 80s at the end of October. So middle of October all through May is just gorgeous. 75 and sunny. A couple days we get into the 50s at the high, high 50s, and I think a couple years ago or last year we had snow.
Wow.
Yeah, so it did happen. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And just one little detour from that. With the growth that's going on here and 1 million plus people moving here in the last couple of years, is water an issue here at all?
No, actually, people freak out about that, but they have water rights, or they have water, they have to meet certain levels or certain, I think it's a 100-year water supply or 300-year water supply, I don't know exactly, but they are very cognizant of how the water is being developed and how it's being portioned off to parts of the valley, particularly with the growth of new developments, right? Every time they put out a public report, they have to show future growth or future water reservoirs for those communities. So no, water's not an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we do get our fair share of monsoon rains. So our reservoirs do get filled up, and it does flood here sometimes when it rains hard and we get the monsoons. Or some people have heard about what they call them in the Middle East called haboobs, which are dust storms.
Yes.
It's just a rolling cloud of dust. It doesn't necessarily hurt anything except it clogs up your filters. But we get those a few times. But other than that, and a few fuzzy little fauna that we get that are crawling on the ground, I love it. Again, I've been to a lot of states. I've been to everywhere. I'm not a big I don't have to fight bears. I don't have to I don't have elk walking down although that's beautiful. We don't have that here. So just a couple bugs here and there. So
all right.
Nothing you can't deal with.
So regarding development,
Yep.
what areas are the fastest growing in Phoenix? Like as far as housing, I assume they're near jobs and things like that?
Yep. Right now, the Southwest Valley is the fastest growing.
And what towns are those?
That's like Goodyear, Avondale, Litchfield, Tolleson. Those areas there are really fast growing. It's the most affordable right now within the metro area, and it's the most land that's available. So there's a lot of development going on. And right now, builders are having a tough time finding land to develop. They're fighting over development land to build either infill or large housing communities, high density housing communities. But the city and the city of Scottsdale and city of Phoenix have been really good about the density levels. They've kept them pretty low, so there's not a lot of high density. You see a lot more apartment complexes moving in, but when it comes to home developments, they're half acre, 3/4 acre, 1 acre lot parcels. So you can still get a lot of land even on these new development homes.
And what are those homes? I mean, kind of a range. What would a starter home be versus?
Yeah, so you can still find a starter home in that low 200 range.
Wow.
High 100, 180, 190 in certain areas. And then you get up into the Scottsdale area, and you're going to start anywhere in that 700 to $1.5 million is kind of the baseline. And then you can, some more areas you can get up into. In fact, there's a house that just hit the market. It was 15 million, and there's a house that just went under contract for 32 million. Now, this is Arizona. We don't have an ocean, right? So we don't have that, California, cost of living, but we do have some massive homes here as well.
I didn't know you were selling your house.
No, not my house.
Okay.
Not mine. No.
Can you talk about mass transit? I know there's a trolley that was built 15 years ago. Can you talk about that, where it goes, and if people want to live near that and not necessarily have to drive?
Yeah, that's mostly down in the downtown area. It does go to the East Valley, like into Gilbert and Chandler, but mostly it's going to be mostly the downtown Phoenix area. So south of Camelback, which is going to be more of your entertainment district. A lot of it is professional business, right? It's going to be a lot of attorneys, lawyers and things like that, or accountants and stuff down there. But a lot of people like that mass transit, and so that light rail is really easy to get to from the airport to the East Valley and to downtown. Hasn't come up here yet. I don't know if they have any plans of that, but right now it's mostly for our downtown Phoenix area.
Okay.
But people do like it. It's just easy to get on and off, and it's simple. We've never had that. When I moved here, a lot of these freeways were not here, so mass transit was a taxi.
Right.
So that was it.
Right.
So it's good to see it.
And do they have any more beltways planned? I know you've got like 101 and...
Yeah, 101, 202, there's two 202s, a 101, a 303, there's a whole bunch. Yes, they've got a lot of these, the loops are all built. So what's interesting about Phoenix is really easy to get around. It's built on grids, and so you have avenues on the west side, you have streets on the east side. So there's number of streets, so if it's Third Avenue, you are west of Central. If it's 3rd Street, you are east of Central. And so then they have the streets that are gridded really well, so it's very simple to get around. Very few one-ways, very few streets that go diagonally. There's one main street in Phoenix, it's called Grand Avenue, that runs diagonal. Everything runs north and south or east and west. So it's very, very simple to get around.
Let's talk about schools for a little bit. Can you talk about everything from primary education? I know you've got Arizona State is in Tempe, is that right?
Yeah, we have Arizona State, which is one of the country's largest undergraduate colleges. University of Arizona in Tucson, NAU, Northern Arizona University up in Flagstaff. So there's some really big universities here, and those are obviously some very big employers as well. Arizona is very big when it comes to the education, like I said, the entertainment, sports. But our universities are pretty good. Our football team's getting better too. So
that's what
depends
counts.
if you're a U of A or ASU fan. So yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
And then how about elementary, middle school, high school? Where are the great pockets for great schools in the area?
You know what's interesting? I think they all. I don't have any kids, so I'm not maybe the expert on this one. But for what I understand, there's a lot of really good schools. I don't really see that there's a lot of bad schools. I look at some of the scores. And as in real estate, as you know, it's kind of hard to drive people to different school districts. But when I was selling firsthand, before I started running the brokerage, a lot of people were interviewing different school districts, and I really haven't heard anything bad about the school districts here. They're really well funded. And there are some charter schools here too. There's a lot more charter schools for people who like that, particularly what's going on now, obviously in this political climate. A lot more charter schools are starting to pop up, but they are a little crowded. I think the school districts, they're pulling from very large areas. So I know that they're in talks about building new high schools and middle schools. But North Scottsdale, I know very well that these are very popular and very high regarded schools in this area. Outside of that, I don't know too much about the other ones, but I don't hear anything bad about them.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't hear bad news about that stuff. So
Great.
yeah.
Let's talk about the cost of living.
Okay.
I'm certain that it's much lower. In fact, anywhere in the country is much lower than what we experience in California. Everything from the property taxes you pay, sales tax, income tax, gas tax, electricity costs, all of those costs are among the highest in the country.
In California, yeah. You guys get beat up over there, don't you?
Oh yeah, but we get a lot. We get smoke for that. We pay for the smoke that comes in. We pay for the homeless population. Yeah, we get to pay for all those benefits that come along with paying those high taxes.
Yeah, so cost of living here is relatively inexpensive. I think our sales tax is close to what Newport Beach is. I think ours is about 8.25 in that range for sales tax, but our property tax is very low. Our property tax is 0.7% of the market value. It's actually less of the assessed value. Our market value, or our assessed value, is about 30% less than what the market value is. But based on market value, it's about 0.7% is the property tax. So it's really inexpensive.
All right, so let's say I'm buying a $400,000 house.
Yep.
Can you give me just a ballpark on what the taxes might be?
$2,600 to $2,900 a month or a year.
Really?
Yeah. So people are, sometimes we sell houses and they're like, is that a month? I'm like, no, that's a year. That's a year. Yeah, so yearly, less than $3,000 a year on a $400,000 house.
So just to clarify, if I'm buying a $400,000 house, that's not going to be my assessed value necessarily.
No, $400,000 will put you about a $325,000, $330,000-ish assessed value.
Okay,
Yep.
and then you pay a percentage of that
On your taxes.
on your taxes.
Yep.
And I'm sure it varies in different places, but
It does, certain, and it's based on assessed value. So obviously the value in Scottsdale could be higher than it's going to be in maybe Goodyear. But Paradise Valley, of course, which is a very high-priced area, beautiful area, is going to be different than, of course, Scottsdale. So, but the percentages are really close to the same.
wow, that's
Yeah.
great. And then how much can they change? Do you know how much they can change the assessed value every year?
I don't know what they can or like legally could change, but I know they don't. They're usually a couple years behind on the true value. So if you buy a house today, the market value wouldn't kick in your taxes until 2022.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's about a year and a half lag before that happens. So,
Well, I know every year at my house, the assessed value goes up every year. It doesn't matter if the value has gone up or not. Well, right now it's going up a lot, but
yeah, and I think people want to fight that sometimes. They kind of want to fight the assessed value, and they think it should be higher. I'm like, well, if it's higher, then you're going to pay more taxes. So be careful what you try to fight your assessed value for. So, but the cost of living overall is relatively inexpensive. We're nowhere near what it costs to live in, say, Newport or San Diego or beautiful areas like that, or LA even. But it's cost of food is cheap. It's not that expensive, and like gas, I think we pay. You might pay $3 sometimes, and I mean, California, you're paying $4 or $5 a gallon. So, but it's been relatively inexpensive recently. But we don't get the influxes that you guys get. We don't get the spikes. Although the housing market's interesting because we are usually on the tip of the spear when it comes to housing. I don't know if you want to jump into that, but what I call Phoenix the petri dish of any real estate company that wants to start. They start in Phoenix first.
Sure.
Then they go to Vegas, and then they go to Florida. So we are the ones who compete heavily with the likes of the iBuyers, OfferPad, Open Door, things like that. I don't know why. I think it's probably because we have just such a diverse group of people here, and a diverse price range. So they're like, well, hey, if it works in Phoenix, it's going to work anywhere else. So that's interesting. But we usually see that. So back in 2008, when the market really crashed, we were kind of the tip of the sword, right?
That's right.
We went down hard and first, but we also came out of it a lot faster than everybody else. It's still very much an investor's market. Right now it's a seller's market. There's just not a lot of inventory. So those people who are looking to move to Arizona might find it a little difficult to find a house, but trust me, it's worth it when you find it because you're going to spend way less than what you're going to spend in California.
interesting.
Yeah, about 38% of all of our buyers right now are coming from California.
Really?
Yes. So,
Wow.
that's huge numbers.
And I don't think that's going to slow down. I think it may even grow. I think millions of people are going to leave California over the next few years, and Phoenix makes all the sense in the world.
It does. I mean, you come here again. If you love the sunshine, you love outdoor life, you love entertainment, you love sports, and again, you got to put up a little bit of heat here and there. I know we're talking about Bakersfield or Modesto, where it gets really, really hot because it's humid. It's not like that. It's actually a much more adaptable than that type of heat. But the housing market is just on fire right now. So it doesn't mean that you're going to overpay for a house. It just means that you're still going to buy a house probably 30% less than what you'd pay in California, right? I mean, we look in Newport all the time at prices, or or anything in Orange County, or even up in LA, or Pleasanton, right? So
Yeah.
East Bay, and I'm shocked in how much people pay for houses there.
Sure.
And they come here and they're like, wait a minute, I can buy this house for like a third of what I paid this in California? I'm like, yeah. And your taxes are only this much. So they're shocked when they come here. They're pleasantly shocked. So,
Let's talk about, you touched upon the Beltways and the freeways. Is there a lot of commute traffic here where you're going to sit in traffic to, like how far are we from downtown Phoenix here? Maybe 10 miles, 15 miles?
it's funny, I know in California people talk about minutes.
Yes, that's
because,
right.
Yeah, we
not
talk
distance.
miles. Yeah,
Oh, you
because
do?
it's really not minutes here. So it's miles. There's the I-10 and the I-17 downtown Phoenix. There's a little congestion here and there in the morning, but occasionally you'll get something. The 101 going back and forth, which is a direct artery between the West Valley and the East Valley. And so like Peoria, Glendale, and Scottsdale. And so they're kind of feeder markets for each other. And that gets a little crowded, but I don't remember any single time I was ever sitting at a dead stop for more than 20 seconds.
Really?
Ever. Maybe, if there's an accident, yes, you're going to sit there. But I mean, as typical traffic goes, no. You're just going to creep along and then it kind of breaks loose. But it's nothing like California.
Yeah, when I was commuting, I could change a tire, and nobody's going to move anyway. So
When I first met my wife, she was living in Pleasanton, and so I was we were packing up her house when we sold it, and she had all these games, like little hand games. I'm like, what are these? She goes, oh, when I sit in traffic, I just sit and play games. And this is, of course, back in the 90s, right, where there's little, little electron. I'm like, how long do you sit in traffic? She goes, oh, it takes me 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get from Pleasanton to San Jose.
Sure.
I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That would be, and so she couldn't stand it. So,
Yeah.
But so we have a lot of people who are very concerned about that. If you saw on your way up here, our freeways are very big, 6, 7 lanes. They're widening 101. Our main street arteries are really big, very big and open. And if you notice something that really is, that I kind of am proud of about Arizona, is it's very clean. You don't see trash on the side of the streets. You don't see graffiti. We have a law enforcement department here that is very big on trash pickup.
So no graffiti, anything else?
No, I mean, I haven't seen graffiti. I've been a lot of places, maybe a little bit downtown here and there, but they're really big on making walls and murals and stuff, which is cool for that inner city art or that downtown art, but it's you don't see that up here. You just don't see, I mean, drive down the street, when's the last time you saw a piece of trash on the freeway? You just don't see it.
Wow.
So, yeah, which is nice.
Yeah, it really is. So if I'm in Goodyear, let's say, and I want to commute to downtown Phoenix, do you have any idea what that might look like?
Yeah, it's about, I mean, from a time standpoint, 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 15, maybe 20 minutes.
And you can buy a $200,000-$300,000 house there?
You can buy a $250,000 to $300,000 house all day long.
Really?
If you can find them right now.
Well, yeah.
They're still a little difficult to find, but yes, that's the price range, and those are really nice houses. Those are relatively new, great shape. We still don't have a lot of the foreclosures or short sales like we used to have, but there are a lot of investors right now trying to find those homes, and so they're squeezing out some of those people a little bit because a lot of these people want to buy them for investments and rentals, but they are. Still very, very nice homes and very nice communities. There's a community out in Goodyear called Verado, very nice, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 homes, just beautiful, beautiful neighborhoods like that are popping up all over. So.
And speaking of rentals, a lot of people don't buy necessarily. In fact, a lot of people, even if they're homeowners, they want to sell their house and they want to move somewhere and rent for 6 months or a year just to kind of get a feel for where they want to buy.
Yeah, makes sense.
So do you know what rentals might run on homes and things like that?
Yep, right now they historically run about $1.05 a foot to $1.10.
Oh,
sometimes they're pushing about $1.50 depending where you're at, but it's still okay. So if you're buying a 3,000 square foot home, 2,500 square foot home is going to run you, $3,000 a month.
Okay.
1,500 square foot home is going to run you anywhere from, $1,800 to $2,000 a month. So if you figure anywhere from about $1.10 to $1.25, you're safe.
Well, that's
per foot.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Snowbirds.
Yes.
I hear you might get one or two here.
We get a lot. We get a lot.
Can you touch upon how life changes? Does it change a lot when they're here? And when do they come? When do they leave? And what's it like when they're here?
Back to the traffic.
Okay.
Gets a little bit more traffic. They tend to drive a little slower, just more cautious at that age. But
that's a real adjustment for Californians. They're not used to people driving slow.
Everybody drives fast in California.
Yes.
In fact, I was talking to somebody. They were just like, "I get nervous when I drive slow." I'm like, "All right," but it does. It swells to about 100,000 more people in the area, in the Metro Phoenix area, because of the snowbirds. And there's a lot of people who own second homes, or they're just coming here for entertainment. Like we got the Phoenix Open, right? There's how many hundreds of thousands of people go to that every year? What was it last year? Like had 600 or 700,000 people who attended that event.
Wow.
That 4-day event. We have Barrett Jackson Auto Auction, right? I mean, these things people are constantly coming here. Starting in October all the way through May, this place is just, everything is going on. They just had the Arabian Horse Show. If you guys are into horses, we have a lot of people who, our agents sell a lot of Arabian or equine horse properties. But there's all sorts of different horse stuff that goes on here, horse shows. So a lot of people have horse property here as a second home, or even as where they, I guess they store them or they keep them there. So I'm not really big into horses yet, but I know a little bit about it. But yeah, so that's been really big. And so yeah, when you have all these events that are happening in Phoenix, Metro Phoenix area, it just swells. And then people just come here because of the weather. So. And we don't have a lot of, we don't have earthquakes, right? So we don't have tornadoes. We don't have, bugs the size of crows like they have in Florida. I mean, nothing wrong with Florida, but, we have very few natural disasters and issues here. Yes, it gets hot in the summer. We have some monsoon storms that are like thunderstorms that last, for an hour or two, and that's about it in the summer. But otherwise, that's it. That's really, we have a few brush fires here and there, but nothing like California's going through.
Sure.
Yeah, I think we get more, because it's so hot, people think, oh my gosh, it's so hot, why isn't there more fires? Well, we don't really have a lot of grass and shrubs here, right? We have cactus and rock.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But it's still greener than you think. You've never been here. So, for those of you guys who've never been here, you gotta check it out.
Let's turn our attention to healthcare.
Okay.
I've heard that the Phoenix Metro has some of the best healthcare in the country, and I think it's because you get a lot of wealthy snowbirds that come here. I know Scottsdale has a lot of, like you have the Mayo Clinic, I believe. So Can you talk about that? So people feel comfortable if they're retiring, coming here and getting good healthcare?
So Banner Health is one of the largest health community or health organizations in Arizona. In fact, I think it's headquartered here, also with some other companies. Honor Health, Banner Health, Mayo. They're building a huge facility, an additional facility down on Mayo Boulevard, appropriately named.
Yes.
But there's 2 clinics here, there's 2 Mayo clinics. Healthcare has never been an issue, at least when I've had to have it. Whether it's just seeing your doctor as a general, checkup or emergencies, getting in is really simple. You don't have to wait, but the healthcare is very, very, very good here. Yeah. In fact, I don't know that you're ever without a 2 or 3 mile radius of a hospital.
Really?
Yeah, they're peppered everywhere. And probably because the snowbirds, I get it. But it's also because, there's a lot of people who are moving here as a full-time, it's not just an influx of people and they leave, although there are, a lot more people are moving here full-time. It's not just a second home community. So,
let's talk about retirees.
Okay.
Since we're talking on healthcare, that's a natural fit. I think about 25% of the group, it seems like they're looking towards retirement and looking to move somewhere.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the retirement communities you have around here, the
Sure.
55 and older, or in what kind of activities they have in those communities?
Yeah, so historically, Arizona's always been known for the Sun City, right? Sun City is out in our northwest, and it's beautiful, and it's very much it was built by Del Webb back in the 60s and 50s and 60s, actually. Wow. And it was all designed around retirees and people moving here in their golden years and just playing golf and just hanging out. I think more and more people who are retiring younger, maybe because of wealth or something or other reasons, but there are some 55 and older communities that you can go into, but I think people are just finding homes anywhere outside of those communities. And so we're finding, even in the community that I live in, there's 30% of the people that are retirees, which is fairly a lot for an active community. Yeah. So people are getting more active, and I think that's what's happening is people are just finding the activities and then moving and then retiring at those activity places versus going directly to a specific retirement community.
I see. And you guys have a ton of golf courses.
Man.
Yeah, and so they can move to a golf course community and have young neighbors and...
Absolutely. And you don't have to buy into a golf club, right? Because there's so many public courses here that are just amazing. There's some amazing public courses that you can get on. Of course, in the summer you can get on for $25. In the winter you're going to be a little bit more than that, quite a bit more, because everyone wants to play golf here in the winter. But no, there's one, you can't throw a rock and not hit a golf course. So,
or throw a golf ball and not hit a golf course.
If you can hit a golf ball that far, you probably hit a golf course. Yep, agreed.
Let's turn our attention to business, the business climate here in Arizona. I would classify California as anti-business.
Okay.
They punish you with regulations, they punish you with permitting and high taxes, and they think you're just made of money if you're a business person there. Almost anywhere is better, but can you talk about the business climate here? If I want to start a business, bring a business here, how the environment is for people like that?
Yeah, so we have some notable big businesses headquartered here, like GoDaddy and PetSmart is their headquarters here. Discount Tire, there's some big corporation companies out there, but we're still very much a mom and pop small community, like small business oriented community. Taxes are not outrageous. Permitting, it depends what you want to do. Like signs can be a little bit, but for the most part, starting a business here is really easy. It's really simple. Getting through the Arizona Corporation Commission, getting your license set up, depending what kind of business it is, it's very, very friendly. And that's why I think a lot of big companies are starting to move here. They're moving their headquarters here, which is great because I think it's very tax friendly from a tax standpoint. But yeah, we're not like Silicon Valley, but we do have a lot of people who are moving here, a lot of companies who are starting in the Southeast Valley, bringing a lot of those companies to this area because of that.
Yeah, you do have a lot of tech here, right?
We have a lot of tech here. Yeah. So there's well, they're starting to get more tech here too. There's also I don't know the name of the car company, but it's going to compete with Tesla, and it's down just north of our Casa Grande city area. And they're building kind of an electric car, but it's a huge deal, supposed to compete, I think, with Tesla. So anyway, that's the rumors out there. You don't really know what's true until you read it all on the business page, but what I've seen and what I've heard is that, yes, it's very, very business friendly. Yeah.
And don't you have, doesn't Intel have a plant down there in Chandler, I think it is?
Intel has a plant. Raytheon is a plant. They have a missile defense plant here in Mesa, which is one of the largest employers in the state. But yeah, I mean, it's always been a lot of tech in that sector, but defense sector is also picking up quite a bit too. So yeah, we're seeing a lot more of that.
Well, I'm thinking about how far are you from Sedona here, and what's Sedona like?
Sedona's about hour and a half.
That's not bad.
No, hour and 15 minutes, depending how fast you want to drive. But if you've never been to Sedona, it's red rocks. It's beautiful. It was, back in the day, it was all about the aura and the Reikis, and all the Reiki masters would go up there and have their, things going on. But it's just a fun place to go. It's when you drive out of Phoenix, you drive north out of Phoenix, you can get to Sedona, which is in the high mountains. They call it high desert, not high mountains. And then you can go to Prescott, which is definitely more high mountain. Flagstaff within 2 hours, which is 7,000 feet. So you got snow. Heavy snow, big time snow. And then you can go to the Grand Canyon within 5 hours. It's, and honestly, we drive to California all the time, right? So we go to, San Diego or Newport. I think people moving out of California are like, man, I really like the beach. I'm missing the water. Trust me, I love that. It's a 5-hour drive to Newport or San Diego.
From here?
From here. 5.5.
Yeah, but
I can make it 5.
You can make it in 4.5.
I can make it 5. No, I can do 5. 5's pretty good. 5's pretty good schlep. So, but the flights here, right? You can fly direct if you want to fly private out of Scottsdale Airport. It's an hour and a half.
Wow.
Commercial, it's about 45 minutes, 50 minutes. Southwest flies direct to John Wayne or to San Diego.
Sure.
It's a really easy flight.
Wow.
And you can get to Mexico. You can fly to Cabo in about hour and a half, 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
That's really nice.
And then you got skiing in Flagstaff too, right?
Oh, you got skiing. You got. It's everything a mountain city would want, right? So it's like Colorado.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's turn to the political environment.
Okay.
People want. I saw that cost of living is the number one reason people want to leave. That people have expressed in the group, but politics is a big part of that. Whether it's their political beliefs or the fact that politics has helped create the highest cost of living in the country. And so people want to leave that, and they don't want to move somewhere where in 5 years, 10 years, it just turns right over again.
Yep.
And now they're raising taxes
Yep.
every year. Now their gas tax is going up, and now they're talking about global warming tax and all this
Sure.
other stuff that we have to endure.
Sure.
So can you touch upon that a little bit?
Yes. People leaving, at least from what we've seen, people leaving California, a lot of them are leaving because of ideology from a political standpoint. But primarily it's cost of living, expenses, pollution, because of those state ideologies, right? So the politics of, like you said, why those things are so expensive. We have to, let's tax more people because of this happening, and let's, add more tax. And there's some, this is my opinion, but there's some silly things that I've seen that state has done recently from a policy and, change. Like I think Newsom just signed into something that said no gas cars.
Yeah, you can't sell new gas-powered cars in 15 years. That was a great decision. Yeah, I think it's actually a reason why more people are just saying that's enough.
It's interesting. Anyway, so Arizona is, obviously we're a red state. We have a red governor. A lot of our policymakers are red. We're very 2A friendly.
Can you talk about 2A?
Yeah, so Second Amendment is extremely, it's a Constitution carry state, so you don't have to have, anybody can carry a weapon here, a handgun. You can open carry if you want to carry a rifle, you want to carry an AK-47, you can do that. We have extremely low crime because of it. We don't have a lot of things that you see in Chicago and New York and California and things like that, but it's very friendly. So Constitution.
That's not going to change, right?
No. Not if we can help it. No. I don't see that happening here.
Okay.
In fact, I just posted something that showed the percentage of people who live in each state based on how many people own guns and carry guns based on each state. And Arizona was one of the highest. Arkansas actually was the highest. I didn't know that. So hats off to Arkansas. And people who don't understand guns. think that they're dangerous or think that it's not a good idea to carry a gun. And so, from a political standpoint, it is our Constitution, right? We have that right to keep and bear arms. And I know people say, yeah, but that was when that Constitution was made back in 1791. And I'm like, well, it still holds true today, right? So Arizona is a Constitution carry state, which means you don't have to have a permit. You have to be 18 years old, or 21 years old, excuse me, and you have to be legal, right? You can't have a felony. You have to be able to own a weapon, but you don't have to have a concealed carry permit. I do suggest people get it because it's great training, but anybody can carry a gun here.
So it's not a big deal if you get stopped by a police officer that you got a gun in your car and that kind of thing?
Nope, you just, you do what you would normally do. Arizona does not, the law says that you do not have to let the police officer know. I think it's a smart idea.
Sure.
Just gonna say that, and every time I do, I just, hands at 10 and 2, so, and so when they run your background, they see you have a concealed carry permit, they'll ask you if you have a gun on you. Yes, I do, it's on my hip, or it's in my, wherever. Okay, great, most of them say, hey, don't reach for yours, I won't reach for mine. Fair enough. Good enough.
By the way, how often do you get stopped by the police around here?
I rarely do.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't been stopped, and no knock on wood here, but I was stopped probably 2.5 years.
Okay.
So yeah, no,
that's a record for you, isn't it?
It's kind of a record. I do have a little bit of lead foot, so I do appreciate people in California driving fast because I do have an issue with that. But to that point is, I belong to a gun range here, and they were saying that ammo sales and gun sales are gone through the roof, and I did see that also in California. But I can go into a gun store right now. In fact, I'm going to head there this afternoon because one of my guns just came in. But I can go buy a gun and walk out with it today.
Wow.
There's no waiting period. They do background checks. People don't think they do background checks. Everybody has a FBI background check when you purchase a handgun. So, but it's very friendly here. People are very good about teaching people how to use it, to keep that. And so I highly suggest, even with my agents, when it comes to safety, right? Every agent who sits open houses is vulnerable to somebody walking in and getting, attacked. And so whether it's bear spray or mace or a handgun or some kind of, protection, whether it's, hand skills, I think that's really important from a real estate standpoint. But what's interesting is that when you look at the crime rates based on population, Arizona is really low, which is good.
That's because the criminals don't know if you're packing heat or not, right?
Everybody thinks, well, should I make a gesture at that guy driving in that car or shouldn't I? So maybe I shouldn't. Yeah.
You wave with the whole hand.
You wave with the whole hand.
That's
yes.
right.
Not just parts of it.
That's right.
Now, people, what's funny? I think that's a difference. That's a good point. I want to bring that up. I think the stress level here is so less because when you come here and the sun is shining every single day, it's just people aren't as stressed. Every time I go to, there are times I go to California and driving there, there's white knuckle times, right? And so I'm doing 90 just to keep up with the masses. But I can tell that people are stressed. It's a very stressful living. It seems to me in California. Here, it's relaxed. It's very laid back. It's not like that. I'm sure parts of it are, but for the most part, we're all pretty, shorts, slip-ons.
Yep.
And we wear jackets, we wear ties, but it's, and it's just a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's also when you go to Hawaii, right? Hawaii's a little different. Right? It's kind of that laid-back attitude. I feel like Arizona kind of has that. So
that's great. Well, if you haven't spent 3 hours a day in traffic, and then you come home and your power bill is $500 because you turned your air conditioner on for 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
Your property taxes are through the roof. It just never ends. So I think that really contributes to it. You got to have both spouses working in a lot of cases, and then so your kids are in daycare.
Well, one of the spouses usually pays for the daycare, right?
That's right.
Just their paycheck.
That's right.
Yeah. So I agree. I think it's hard, and I think that's the problem is that when you find a state, and I've been watching on your other page, Life After California, I'm watching people who are just, they're jumping up and down going, oh my God, I bought 4 acres in North Carolina and this is amazing. And they're just singing from the rooftops. And so I'm here to say, I think you can have that same lifestyle in Arizona as well. So don't rule us out.
Sure.
I know we border them, but we're worlds apart from California.
Sure. Well, Jay, as we wind up our time here, what is Phoenix's best kept secret? What's Arizona's best kept secret?
The best kept secret's the weather.
No kidding?
The weather and the lifestyle.
Wow.
Yeah. It's, again, I say that because people are so afraid. You have a short period of time during the year that it gets that hot. But when you're here and you're stepping outside, you've been here in the middle of summer.
I have.
It's not that bad.
No.
Right? Yes, it's hot. Right? It's hot.
And people have misters. Misters are awesome.
You have a pool, you get air conditioning. So I think that's the best kept secret. I think people are afraid to come here sometimes because they hear the heat, or they hear that we have rattlesnakes, or we have scorpions and coyotes. And I'm like, We all have something, right?
Sure.
Like I said, we don't have earthquakes. We don't have many fires. We don't have tornadoes and all these big issues that other states have. And so I would say the weather. And I think the reason I say that is because people don't realize how much they're affected by weather when they don't have it, right? So when you're here, and when I first moved here, I couldn't believe in how much better of a mood I was over the course of the first 6 months living here. I'm like, it's got to be the weather. And yes, it makes you happier. So, and it's less stressful, like I said. So.
Yeah. So the weather's the best kept secret.
Yep.
You can come here and pay less for utilities, less for a house, less for taxes, less for gas. Your commutes aren't too bad, right? I mean, you're not going to sit in commute traffic for an hour each way.
And if you notice, a lot of things in Arizona are relatively new because we're still a young city, from a growth perspective, but new restaurants, new shopping. Nightlife, it's huge. Downtown, Old Town Scottsdale has been a huge place for that. We have the Super Bowl here every 4 years, every four to 5 years. All these events in the winter are one of the reasons why I love living here, number one. But honestly, the people, you get a mix of people coming from the East Coast, Midwest, California, very few natives. There's very few people who have actually born and raised in the city of Phoenix. More and more now because people have been here for a while, but when I moved here, it was a rarity. And so, but it's cool because you get to see a lot of different people. My next door neighbors just moved here from Long Island. They sold their entire estate there and moved to Arizona full time. They were going to do it as a part-time home. They said, nope, we're out. We're going to move full time.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them.
So it's cool. It's cool to see people from around different states. So.
Well, if people want to reach out to you and connect and talk about the Phoenix metro area, Scottsdale, all these different areas you have around here, I assume you have agents that they can talk to, and also maybe come out and tour. That's a big deal for people to come out and actually get a feel for the area.
I think getting out here and seeing what it's like, and maybe visiting in maybe the heat to see what it's like first off. But I'm on the page as well, so certainly I can respond, and I'll post my stuff on that page when you post this video here, of course. But yeah, we have many agents who can help in every area. But they can reach out to me. My phone number, my email address, my website, any of that stuff, and we'll put that on here, I'm sure, so they can reach out to me anytime. But yeah, any questions whatsoever from anything we can provide. In fact, we have an amazing buyer advisory guide that we provide all of our buyers, and it has every question you want to answer or you want to ask, and it's got links to all these different websites that buyers can look at. And I've sent it to a few of the people from the page just to kind of go through and look at. So that's a really good packet to have. So I can email it out to anybody who wants that.
Great. Well, Jay, this has been great. It's been great to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
Looking forward to working with some of the folks from the group. I'm sure a lot of people reach out to you.
Absolutely.
And you and I have been friends for years. It's always nice to get together with you in person.
Well, it's good to see that your page is doing so well, because I think it means a lot to a lot of people right now. People right now are just kind of going, okay, what the heck do I do? And I watch a lot of the posts, and I love some of those questions. So.
Yeah, well, let's face it. I mean, it's been one thing after the other this year. It started with AB 5, which outlawed independent contractors. Then it went to the virus. Then it went to the riots. Then it went to the fires. Now it's going to outlawing cars. It is, and then by the way, we got to raise taxes.
Well, we didn't get murder hornets. Did you guys get murder hornets?
No,
okay,
I don't
we didn't
think
get those yet. Still 2020.
I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure it's coming.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, but thanks again, Jay.
Anytime, buddy.
All right, thank you.
Buddy.